There we go. Welcome back, everyone. Game 3 of the NBA Finals has just unfolded. I'm going to start by saying both our predictions. No, did you have OKC in 5?
Yes, I did have OKC in 5.
Well, we're both casuals who don't know anything.
Yeah.
Game 3 has just concluded. Indiana have taken a 2-1 series lead. So OKC in 5 is over with. Indiana are in control, is what I would say. Indiana are in control. John D, what are your thoughts on game 3? It just ended maybe 3 minutes ago. So
Yes. There are lots of takeaways from this game. The first thing I want to say is Shai did not have a good game, in my opinion.
I agree.
He did not have a good game. Carson, friend of the channel from Nerd Sesh, posted on Twitter Shai's numbers throughout game 3s of the playoffs. If I could just pull it up real fast, he's 21 points on 6 rebounds and 7 assists on 46% true shooting. I don't know if this is a thing because this is his low throughout every single game. Game 1, 52% true shooting. Game 2's 65. Game 3's 46. Game 4's 48. And games 5 through 7, he's at 67. So this is a low for him, and I think Indiana did a really good job of denying him the ball. They did a really good job. His first bucket was 2 minutes into the first quarter. And if you get a game like that from the MVP, I think that's very valuable. Now, Chet Holmgren, he came into the game very aggressive. He had 12 points in the first quarter, I believe, attacking Miles Turner. Tyrese Halliburton earlier in the game, like you were talking about, what we saw more in the last few minutes of game 2 was him playing off ball more. And I think that got him a lot of really good looks in the first quarter. He got some looks around the elbow, and then he kicks it to Andrew Nembhard, and he gets a wide open 3. He misses it badly. Like, he shoots behind the backboard, but it was a wide open 3. And Ben Shepherd got a 1-dribble pull up out of an action like that as well. Just him getting more actions ran for him to where he can get easier paint touches. And we talked about it last game as well. Just them getting more paint touches and that being the main priority of how they play better. And in this game, it showed. Tyrese Halliburton getting more paint touches. Pascal Siakam being able to attack SGA around the paint. TJ McConnell getting to the paint at will. I don't know if I said Benedict Mathurin getting to the paint as well. TJ McConnell and Benedict Mathurin off the bench, phenomenal. TJ McConnell had me standing up. It was fantastic to see, to get to the rim as consistently as he did, and then steal the ball, steal the inbound pass 2 to 3 times. I don't remember how many times. That was phenomenal to see. It was phenomenal to see. And the shot making from Tyrese Halliburton was phenomenal. The 3-pointers out of the pick and roll, the floaters, and I think this was his best defensive performance of the entire finals as well. Just being able to play passing lanes, being able to guard one-on-one when they were attacking him, because one of the first plays of the game was Cason Wallace attacking Tyrese Halliburton on the perimeter. I'm like, oh, I even wrote it in my notes. I'm like, oh, it's going to be a Tyrese Halliburton defensive game, but I think he played a lot better. And even when they were denying Shai on the ball, when he tried to backdoor cut, they were all over that as well. So I think they did a really good job defensively. This might be one of their best defensive performances as a unit throughout the playoffs. So that was really good to see from them. As for the Oklahoma City Thunder, I think this was J-Dub's best game of the finals. I think he did a really good job creating space on the perimeter and getting good looks for himself. I think Chet kind of fizzled out in the second half. He wasn't as impactful as he was in the first half. Andrew Nembhard was still quiet. Aaron Nesmith was quiet, in my opinion. He had a couple of decent looks from 3, but he just didn't knock it down. I don't have any of the numbers in front of me, but that's just based off what I saw.
I'm going to start by praising the guys who I think deserve the most praise for tonight. And TJ McConnell was the first one. He was a game changer. Now, one of those inbound steals, he was very clearly out of bounds, but we'll ignore that for the sake of the TJ McConnell praise. I think it's really cool that a 6'1", 6'2" guard, if we want to be nice, who doesn't shoot the 3, has been able to not only have a 10-year plus career, is able to be impactful and pretty much propel a team to a win in the NBA Finals against what many people, myself included, have called one of the best defenses ever. Normally, like TJ McConnell, I tweeted about this. In so many ways, he is the opposite of what the modern NBA says a guard, especially a small guard, has to be. He's not He's not elite with the ball in his hands. And what I mean by that is he's not someone who's going to break you down off the dribble with a bunch of moves and then get to a three or play out pick and roll in that regard. He's not the elite of the elite point of attack defender. He's not a three-point shooter in any sense of the word. But yet, TJ McConnell makes teams better. He's a really good basketball player. And today, 5 steals I think he came up with, 3 of them off inbounds, is ridiculous. Deserves a lot of credit for that. And then Benedict Mathurin. We spoke about his defense in the early parts of the series, game 1 and game 2. But today, offensively, I said his ability to get to the line is a huge game breaker for the Pacers. He is someone who can consistently put that pressure on a defense with his physicality, with his ability to absorb contact and play through it and even initiate it. I think he shot like 8 free throws today. That's a huge deal. Then you just got him getting to the rim, playing strong, playing physical. It's a big deal. He had 27. Oh my God, he had 27. Didn't know he had 27. Okay.
I thought it was like a 19 to 23 type of thing.
Benedict Mathurin had 27. Shout out to Benedict Mathurin. An elite game from Benedict. I think him and TJ McConnell are the biggest reasons why Indiana were able to win today. Now, Miles Turner is someone who I thought played terribly for the first 3 quarters. I thought he was just bad. Then in the fourth, he was amazing. Dislodged Chet for a layup. That was a nice play. Held Chet in check in isolation. Chet got his shot blocked by Miles Turner twice in the fourth. I think Chet was good for 3 quarters and then terrible in the fourth. I think Miles Turner was terrible for 3 quarters and great in the fourth. So interesting matchup there. But I think what Miles Turner was able to do in the last portion of the game, after having what was, in my opinion, a really bad first 3 quarters, shows a level of mental toughness and fortitude that I think deserves a lot of credit. And I don't think someone who's soft would be able to bounce back mid-game after having a game of that capacity, in my opinion. On to OKC. Yes, I agree with you. I don't think Shai had a good game. I saw Rick Carlisle do a lot of the things that I said I would do with
He
Shai.
watches the show. He watches the show.
Friends of the show, Rick Carlisle. I think it's confirmed. In all seriousness, I do like a lot of the denial that they had with Shai when he was off the ball. Obviously pressing in full court, that was something that's been a common theme. But when Shai doesn't have the ball in the half court, just trying to keep it away from him as much as possible, I think we saw that the self creation or just the initiation outside of Shai today struggled a lot. And then Shai himself, 6 turnovers, that's unacceptable. Saw him get sped up way too many times, a travel call that was egregious, telegraphing skip passes, Tyrese Halliburton again, elite defense. I also saw Tyrese Halliburton get a stop at the rim on J-Dub, by the way. But yeah, I think Shai has to be better if we're going to hold the MVP or the best player in the series, whatever you want to call him, however you want to describe him, to that level or standard. He has to be better. That just simply wasn't good enough from him today. I did like his defense for the most part, but still wasn't good enough. Caruso, I don't think, had a particularly good game. Free throws down the stretch were a major problem. J-Dub missed 2. Kaysen missed another one. I'm not saying they would have won if they made some of those free throws, but definitely put yourself in a better position. What I think is the most impressive for me, in a game in which OKC shot north of 40% from 3, Indiana were able to win. In a game in which they struggled personally from 3, they were able to win. And it came from forcing turnovers, increasing the ball pressure all around the court, and speeding OKC up. They pulled an OKC on OKC. That's what they did. Yeah. They said, we're going to beat you at your own game. And they did that. And everyone knows I picked OKC in 5. I've been saying all week, if Indiana win a game, another game, I'll just say OKC in 6. And if they win another game, I'll say OKC in 7. And if they win another game, I'll say OKC in 2026. Now, I will say, I think Indiana can do it. I think Indiana can do it. I really think they can do it. This is a series. I really think they can do it. Mars, you called out Jokic for his turnovers, won't call Shai out for his turnovers. I'm going to assume he's behind. I'm going to assume he's like...
he must be.
I'm going to assume he's behind because I literally just did that.
He just did it.
I'm going to assume he's behind. And he's spamming it. Okay, nice. I think Indiana can do it. I really think Indiana can do it. Not saying they will do it. I am saying I would like to see it. I said I want to see this series extended as much as possible. But watching this formula, pressuring OKC, speeding them up, playing on certain guys' floors, I still think Chet takes too long to get his jumper off. You can see it's
Yeah.
quicker than it was a year ago, but it's still not quick enough, in my opinion. You're 7-1. Your shot should not be this easy to contest. Like, I'm not saying you should be Kevin Durant, but like at some point, your low release point, either you can't have a low release point and a slow release. I'm sorry. A low release point is meant to be to make the release quicker. You can't have both. Shai, I don't think Shai will get sped up like this again. I think Shai is too good for that to happen. But I do think the ball pressure is something to stick with if you're Indiana. And I think Tyrese Halliburton off the ball was a thing that we spoke about. That's how we can get Halliburton having some success. And I think we saw more of that. And then he got into a rhythm, he got comfortable. Then he started shooting a couple threes out of pick and roll. But the off-ball stuff, off a Pascal drive, Tyrese Halliburton will come off, he'll get to a floater or just off some double drag or whatever you want to call it, getting downhill. Like those types of actions really made Tyrese Halliburton's life easier as a scorer. And I think that's a big deal. And it got the Pacers into the paint. And that was the biggest issue they had in the first two games. And in the first half in particular, they were getting into the paint whenever they wanted. And that was a huge deal. So I think there are things OKC can do better. There are still things that Pacers can do better. But the Pacers have the 2-1 series lead with game 4 at home. The Pacers are in control of the series right now. And I think they can do it. That doesn't mean I think they're going to do it. But I think he can do it. I really think they can do it. Yeah, that's really where I'm at. I really think the Pacers can do it, and I'm excited because I didn't anticipate this.
Yeah, we already have people victory lapping on Twitter. You know, that's where you do it. That's where you victory lap. Twitter is the best place to do it. But I think this is a lot closer of a series than I give it credit for. Like, I think what people get mixed up is you're lower on the Pacers than consensus when you pick the Thunder to win in 5 games. When I just thought the Thunder were the better team with the lower margin of error. So I thought going into this series, the Thunder would just have the larger margin for error, and they could still win a lot of these games. But the Pacers have done a really good job defensively in this game. In game 1, they did a really good job of just getting open looks and taking away the turnovers that they did in the first half. And they've carried out really well. Now going into game 4, I wouldn't switch anything. Keep denying SGA the ball. Lou Dort has been on fire from 3 this series, at least games 1 and 3. I don't really remember game 2 as much, but he's been on fire from 3. Cason Wallace has to be a better shooter. I think Alex Caruso knocked down a couple of threes. He was really solid in this game, but Chet has to be better, especially from 3. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens in game 4.
Couple super chats. Eleanor, obviously for his Luca agenda, said no Shai ring and finals MVP. I might cry. Luca FC, we hanging in there. Bring us home, TJ McConnell.
I'm not gonna lie. If the Pacers winning spares me from fighting for Kobe all off season, I'm here for it. Because I'm telling you, I've been making sure I wasn't tripping. I've been rewatching Kobe's games ever since it's even been a conversation, preparing for this offseason. So if that takes it away, I'm cool with
it. It's just funny that I don't think Shai played well in this game, and I think Shai should be criticized accordingly. It's just very interesting, how the takeaway instantly. I remember I tweeted that Siakam stop on Shai at the end basically secured the win. By the way, elite defense from Siakam right there.
Yeah.
And then someone responds to that tweet saying, if OKC loses, is this a hit on Shai's career? I'm sorry, the game just ended and you're already thinking about Shai's legacy. At what point are we damn, I just feel like
I'm not gonna lie,
it's just weird, but I don't know.
I blame the top guys. I blame the first takes. I blame the first things first. I blame them. This is how we talk about basketball now. Another friend of the show, Joel, I remember this tweet vividly when OKC played Boston and OKC won in Boston. And the first tweet from him that went out was, Shai is undeniably better than Tatum, and it's not close. And both of them look like A-tier superstars in that game. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, yo,
Yeah,
I don't like that talking
basketball
point.
discourse is very interesting. I'm not saying like I just think there's a time and place for certain conversations. And right as the final buzzer goes, thinking about Shai's legacy after game 3 of the finals is just a bit interesting to me. But what are you gonna
That's
do?
why like game by game discourse in the playoffs is so disgusting. It's so disgusting. It's so disgusting. Like, what's a good example? When the Nuggets took game 1 of the series against OKC, really
They
good
also
talk.
took game 3 in that series. So
Exactly.
similar situation for OKC. They've been here before.
What else? When
Kawhi had that game 2 against the Nuggets, where he was like,
Oh, yeah.
he had 39 on like 12 or 15 or whatever. It was like, oh my god, Kawhi, best scorer ever. And then like the next game, he was just mid, and then all the talk just died down. It's like like I say this all the time, and I don't think people seem to grasp it. Not every game is a referendum on a player's career. Like if I say player A plays badly in game 2 of a series, that does not mean that I don't think player A is a good player. If I say player A plays egregiously, that does not mean I think player A has never played well. Like, I don't think people can rationalize taking each game for what it is, that game. And then ultimately you start to see trends and patterns. And I think that's when you build a whole holistic opinion. But I'm not going to start changing everything about what I've seen from Shai because I think he was poor in game 3 tonight. I think he was really good in game. I think he was amazing in game 2. I think he was good in game 1. I think he was poor tonight. I think that's been the story of the series. I think he's still been the best player in the series, game 1 through 3. And that's it. It's not everything's just, oh, what's his legacy going to look like? I don't think that's relevant. But anyway, here's tangent. Terry with 2 dads. Shout out to June. Benedict Arnold and Mr. McConnell, my English teacher, really came through when it counted. Yeah, they were amazing. Like, I don't think there's any other adjectives that we can use to really define their impact. I think they were the reason I think Indiana won tonight. I'm not sure who I would say played better between the two, but I'd probably say Benedict. But they were both amazing. And Benedict Mathurin deserves a lot of credit because I thought offensively he could struggle because of the ball pressure and the stuff that I don't think he's the smartest player to do OKC's defense. But he's so physically gifted that he can go before OKC's defense can really gear up. And I think that's playing into his advantage. And I think his athleticism and then his scoring ability is really an X factor for this Pacers team. And I think they're going to need it going forward. So 2 players have like really proven me wrong in this series thus far in terms of how viable I thought they would be in Hartenstein and Benedict Mathurin. So if people are looking for me to just be right, yeah, I've been wrong about everything that's happened in this series. Besides the Pacers winning game 1, everything else I've been just way off the mark. So
that was me. The entire playoffs, I feel like I've been like thrown for a curve. Like I wouldn't be able to tell you to start the playoffs, the Pacers would have been in the finals. And if that's what you're,
I had the second round. Yeah, I thought the Cavs had them, but
yeah, like I didn't think there was no shot of them getting past the Cavs. And then when they saw the Knicks, I had all faith in them. I knew they were going to beat the Knicks. And then now the Thunder, like they're up 2-1 on the Thunder, and I'm like, okay. To be fair, like I said they were going to win game 1 in the chat in playback, but I was trolling. Like I wasn't dead ass. I wasn't dead ass. Like I was just throwing it out there. I thought they were going to win either game 3 or 4. Now they have game 1 and 3, and now OKC is going to be going into game 4 with their backs against the wall on the road against one of the toughest places to play in playoff basketball. That's not a good situation if you're OKC. That's a really good situation if you're Indiana. It's like we got these guys on the ropes. We're going back to our home crowd on game 4. Reggie Miller's going to be there. Everybody, Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harrison's going to be there. All the Indiana natives. Pat McAfee going to be in the building. Everybody going to be turned up. Hey, who knows? Who knows what can happen?
We're running the poll again as we do after every game who will win the series. For the first time, Indiana have more of the votes.
Yeah.
So the tides have turned. Before the series, it was 80-20 OKC. After game 1, it was 60-40 OKC. Then after game 2, it went back to like 75-25 OKC. Now it's 53-47 Indiana. Shout out to the Pacers, man. I still think I'm not going to say OKC are the favorites because I don't know who the favorites are. I still think OKC are going to win the series. And I'm probably going to think that until they physically can't win the series. But I'm at the point now, this is the first time I think Indiana really, really could win this series. Now, I'm not one who's like, they had no chance going into the series. I think even if I said 5 games, I think you can win in a close 5. I think that's possible. But now I genuinely think if Indiana won this series, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big deal to me. So very high on Indiana. I will say you've picked the Pacers in 2 of their 4 series. Technically, I picked them in 1. Technically, because I did ultimately pick the Bucks, despite giving every reason why the Pacers would win. But shout out to me. But I'm really, after the Cavs injuries, I'm really not surprised the Pacers are here. And that's not to say they would have lost to the Cavs if the Cavs were healthy, because at this point, I don't know. I'm going to be honest, I really don't know. I also don't think it really matters that much. But the Pacers are just damn good, man. And it's weird because I don't know. I think obviously what's going to happen is someone on Indiana is going to be grossly overrated if they win this.
We know who it's going to be.
It's going to, like, I mean, Your Highness Charles is here anyway. Said Halliburton is a top 10 player. The metrics show it. No offense to your eye test, but our numbers are consistent. You guys' eyes are biased against Hallie.
No, they're not. Like,
I don't know what metrics paint Halliburton as a top 10 player, but I'm not gonna like just disagree. I'm not gonna say they do or they don't because I don't know what metrics people are using. I just think Halliburton is a really good offensive engine. Halliburton is a flawed player on a team that I think masks a lot of his flaws. And I don't hold that against Halliburton, that he's on a team that masks a lot of his flaws, because that's what good roster construction is supposed to do.
I was just about to say that. Like
that's what throws me off. But go ahead.
You can't say, like, hold on, because I think my fan is a little loud. There we go. Anyway, I don't think you can say that, oh, this guy's really good, but his team is carrying him, or his team is really good. And that can't be a penalty towards a superstar. Like, if you're going to build a championship team, the team around the star you're building it around should mask what they can't do. For example, even though Jaylen Brown is the best player on the Celtics, Jaylen Brown, I think, benefits the most from having that really good Boston Celtics team around him. He's not the best ball handler. He's not the best playmaker. He is in a situation where he can attack mismatches and have the space to do it every single possession. He does not have to be the lead ball handler. Jason Tatum has to take that responsibility. He gets all the space. He has all these really good off-ball defenders around him, so he can just worry about playing on ball. All his weaknesses are masked. Same with SGA. SGA is not the best on-ball defender. You got Cason Wallace. You got Alex Caruso. You got Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Hartenstein around the rim, so he can be as aggressive as he wants on the perimeter. Like, it's just... You're supposed to build a roster around your superstar that masks their weaknesses to where they can thrive and be the best player they can be to put your team over the top.
Yeah, I think I don't have a top 10. I think everyone knows that, but I'm confident I probably wouldn't have Halliburton in it. But I also I don't hold it against Halliburton that he is on a roster that does hide some of his flaws. I think that's what makes teams great. I think when you're on a team that does hide your best players' flaws, or masks them as best as it can, that's what gives you the best chance to win. And I think that's what a good front office is supposed to do. But I also understand that what's going to happen is if the Pacers do win, Tyrese Halliburton is going to be called a top 8, top 9, top 10 player, whatever the case may be. And I'm going to disagree. And it is what it is. But I don't think the Pacers care if I think Halliburton's the 14th best player in the league or the 7th best player in the league. If they have a championship, I think they'll be just fine. Alex Campbell said, Chet legitimately looks lost on offense. It's embarrassing. I think the biggest issue for me is the jump shot. I think I spoke about that last year, and I think the issues are still there, still present, even though he has changed the jump shot. And he's not a consistent self-career. I said pre-playoffs, my one thing I would try if I was going against OKC is I would try and force Chet to beat you as a self-creator. He really only has one counter right now, and that's a spin. If you cut him off, he's going to spin. But he's not strong enough to hold his driving lane. So more often than not, if you are able to wall him up, he's going to struggle and he's going to finish over that length. And he has okay touch, but nothing like spectacular. Right now, a lot of his offense is coming from slips out of screens for dunks, transition stuff, which is really valuable, just leaking out, being faster than bigs down the court. And then like the spot up stuff and then the occasional attacking off a closeout. But his overall offensive game, in my opinion, is not to the level in which you can rely on him consistently to self-create against what should be quote-unquote mismatches, which is what I think the difference between him and a guy like Evan Mobley is, which is why I think, although I would have Chet in and around that tier, I do think Evan Mobley is the better player because of that aspect right there. He is 23, 22, 23, I think. So Mobley? Like, Chet. I think Mobley's
22. I think Mobley's like 24.
Damn, old man Mobley. But yeah, I think there's room for growth there. But right now, I mean, what Chet could be 3 years from now isn't relevant to what they need him to be in the NBA Finals against the Indiana Pacers. And right now, he hasn't been good enough offensively throughout the series. I don't know what he actually finished with tonight in terms of numbers. 20, 10, 2 assists, 6 from 3. Goddamn. Yeah, they need more from Chet. J-Dub, I just feel like doesn't put a lot of pressure on the defense. I think he made some nice shots today, some nice floaters, some mid-range stuff. That was cool. But I still feel like it's like
he's not getting the defense to react to his.
Yes, he's not forcing reactions. So it's a lot of he's scoring in one-on-one coverage, which is valuable. But I don't think it's putting the same level of pressure on the defense, obviously, as like a Shai. And obviously, I just don't think it's this. I don't think that 26 is as valuable as 26 would appear to be. Like you see 26 on 50% shooting, people are going to assume, oh, that was amazing. I don't think it was that valuable of a 26. Trying not to hate on J-Dub, of course, but that's just how I view it. And then we spoke about Shai, obviously. And then OG Team with a super chat said, if heliocentric style point guard Shai can't win a chip with this team, then there's no hope to winning that style of way. Oh God, Arch.
Ooh.
I don't even know Arch watched this channel. Arch, $100 super chat. Instantly goes into Hoop Talk Hall of Fame.
Yes, he does.
So sorry, OG Team, we'll get back to you. But Arch takes precedent right now. Do we press the panic button? John D, I'm gonna leave you to answer that first, and then I'll answer second. Do you press the panic button?
Yes, you press the panic button. I think the Indiana Pacers have been really good at home throughout the entire playoffs. Now you're down. Yeah, like now you're down 2-1 going into game 4. And I press the panic button. If you lose this game, if you lose game 4, I don't know, man.
You think they can come back 3-1?
Do I think they can come back 3-1 against this Pacers offense? This Pacers offense I've seen all postseason? Hell no. I'm sorry.
So game 4 is a must win.
Game 4 is a must win. W Arch in the chat. Everybody W and Arch. I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody giving their love to Arch, man.
Yeah, Panic button feels a bit extreme for me. But I do agree game 4 is a must win. I don't think you want to be in any series down 3-1. It's just it's tough to win 3 straight games. Like it's really tough to win 3 straight games, especially when you have to win 3 straight games. I do think Indiana control their own destiny at this point. Like I said, if they just control their home court, they win the series in 6. Indiana control their destiny, and that's any spot you want to be in as a finals team. So I do think the pressure is on OKC. Not only is just the better team on paper, not only is the team that's performed statistically better throughout the playoffs, not only is the team that has the best player on the court, not only is the team who has the MVP, blah, blah, all of those narratives aside, they are down 2-1. They are about to go into a hostile environment that knows what's on the line. Indiana, their fans, the team, the coaching staff know what's on the line in game 4. OKC know what's on the line in game 4. And I will say, some of those free throws down the stretch, OKC look nervous. Cason Wallace looking a bit nervous. J-Dub looking a bit nervous. Chet Holmgren looking a bit rushed. Even Shai looking a bit sped up. Caruso missed the championship DNA, throwing it inbound straight into TJ McConnell's hands. You're muted. But but OKC, they've got to be better. They've got to execute better, I think, down the stretch. This is the 2 games they've lost. Both games they haven't executed well down the stretch. If you remember correctly, against Denver, their 2 losses, Game 1 and game 3, they didn't execute down the stretch. And then they proceeded to turn into these demons down the stretch for the rest of the series. And they just started closing out games, playing really well consistently. Can they do this against this Pacers team, who have been probably the best closing team in the NBA in the playoffs? Not probably, definitely the best clutch team in the playoffs. Can they do that against this team? I don't know. 40 points given up in the second quarter for what's meant to be the best defense in the NBA, which I still think is obviously the best defense in the NBA. But giving up 40 and a quarter, that's terrible. There's a lot of things OKC have to rectify. And if they don't rectify it, I don't think they can. I don't think they will win. So I'll say that. Before, I thought my thoughts going into the series was OKC's floor is higher. OKC can play worse and win. Not play worse than Indiana, but OKC can play below their level and win, whereas Indiana had to play at or above their level in order to win. Watching game 1, game 2, and game 3, OKC can't really play below their level and win. Game 1, I think they played below their level and they lost. Game 3, I think they played below their level and they lost. The issue is game 1, I think Indiana played below their level and they won. That was something I didn't even think was possible. So that's the biggest deal for me, is that OKC have to play close to their level of basketball in order to win this series. And that was something I didn't really see going into the series, and I'm perfectly fine owning that. But I think you can see that OKC get gassed.
Yeah, they were gassed at the end of this game.
This Pacers team, I don't know what they do. I don't know how many suicides they run in, but they seem to just be able to outlast a lot of teams. And even OKC, a team as young as OKC, youngest team in the NBA, a team that is as high energy as OKC, they look gassed going up against this Pacers team. So they might be able to just win the battle of attrition, the war of attrition, I think it's called. So,
quick question.
Go ahead.
You know how after the Celtics won, the trend around the NBA was 5-out offense, 3-point shooting. Do you think the new trend is going to be pace, transition play, transition defense, things of that nature?
I think the NBA as a whole is going towards, I don't know if it's going to be pace and transition, but I think teams are aware that the things that help you win the most are the things on the margins. I've been very consistent. I think a lot of these teams, if the game of basketball was purely a half-court game, my half-court offense versus your half-court defense, your half-court offense versus my half-court defense, I think you'd see a lot of these teams are very, very close. Like, I don't think there's a major gap between like the third best team in the NBA and the 11th best team. I don't think there's a major gap. Where the gaps get made up is the possession battle, so turnovers, offensive rebounds, and then the transition game. That's where I think you start to see these teams start to separate themselves. Because in the half court, I think we're at a point in the NBA where every team has ways in which they can be effective in the half court. So like, I'm gonna find the numbers, like the average half court offense and stuff, because I want to see if my point is actually correct statistically or if I'm just lying to the people.
Even if you look at it, like a team like Houston, who controlled the possession battle possibly better than any other team in the league, they had a really high floor, and that's what kept them from being blown out more than any other team, is because they were always going to control the possession battle. They had a really good defense, and even though their offense was a little below average, they had the opportunity to just create more possessions, and that kept them in games. So
the average half-court offense was a 97.8 offensive rating. So that was the average. If you look around the league, teams in and around, so the best was 105.9 from Cleveland. Second was OKC, 104.6. There's like 7-8 teams in and around 98 to 100. Like Phoenix had a 100.8. Chicago had a 99.3. Minnesota had a 99.3. The Kings 99.3. Dallas 99.1. The Clippers 99.1. Memphis 98.5. Atlanta 98.1. Miami 98.1. San Antonio was just short of 98. Like a lot of teams are in and around 1 or 2 points per 100 possessions in reach of each other within the half court. I think where you'll see the gap made up is with what teams are doing in transition and on the offensive glass. And I think that's why a team like Houston, who had the 22nd ranked half-court offense below a team like the 76ers, had the best offensive rebound rate in the NBA. Like, that's what I think is going to be a big point of emphasis, is just the possession battle. Now, how teams do it is going to be different. Some teams are going to do it with turnovers, OKC. Some teams are going to do it with offensive rebounds, like Houston. Some teams are going to do it with them not turning the ball over, like Indiana. Like, a bunch of teams are going to approach it a different way, but the end goal is always going to be how many more possessions can we get than the other team? And it's something I spoke about. What's the gap in transition? Offensive transition. The average offensive rating is 114.8. But I think the biggest difference you'll see is the frequency. Like the worst teams in the NBA in frequency, you look at teams like Boston, but they make up for it with a 3-point frequency. Then you get Charlotte, Phoenix. Charlotte tried to make up for that with 3-point frequency. So what you'll see is every team is trying to mitigate their shortcomings in some way or another. Teams that aren't elite in transition will try and shoot more threes because that's more bang for your buck. Teams that are elite in transition will probably not shoot as many threes, but they might not offensive rebound as much. Like every team is just trying to manage the trade-offs. And I think the bad teams you'll see don't really manage that. And that's why I wasn't high on Milwaukee for a lot of this year, because they were a bad offensive rebounding team and they didn't play in transition a whole lot. But you don't do either one of them and you don't force turnovers. Like, what are we really doing at that point? You don't force turnovers, you don't get offensive rebounds, and you don't play a whole lot in transition. It's just, you're kind of just killing yourself at that point. Phoenix is another team. They don't really offensive rebound. They don't play in transition a whole lot. And they tried to shoot more threes this year, but they struggled. So I think what you'll see is more teams trying to win the possession battle, but in a bunch of different ways. And that's why, once again, I disagree with the idea of every team plays the same, because they very obviously don't. Even like OKC and Indiana don't play the exact same, even if they do things quite similarly. And I think Indiana did steal a lot from OKC today, and they have managed to beat OKC doing that. But back to OG Team Super Chat, he said, if heliocentric style point guard Shai can't win a chip with this team, there's no hope to winning with that style of play. I don't think there's no hope, because I think OKC could win next year. But I think I understand the concern that having one person monopolize the ball can take people out of rhythm. I do agree with that. I think that's possible. But I also think that OKC's offensive players outside of Shai, and this is something that I've been saying for a while all season, it's not, I'm having this revelation now in the finals. They haven't been, like, the idea that Shai has all of this offensive help, I don't think is true. I think Shai has been floor raising this offense all year and he hasn't gotten credit for it. That's what I think has been happening. Like all-time defense. But this offense is extremely dependent on Shai, and it has been for a very long time.
Especially in the half court.
Exactly. So I don't think Shai's got, I don't think Shai's gotten enough credit for the floor raising he's done with this offense, because people see how dominant the team's been. They see like they're like a +6 net team without Shai, and a lot of that is to do with their defense, but their offense really does depend a whole lot on what Shai's able to create in the half court. And then obviously their transition stuff, which is going to be elite regardless because of the turnovers. But I personally think Shai deserves more credit for the floor raising he's done on this offense. I could like look at their net rating with Shai on the court or whatever, but
if you go ahead.
No, you talk and I'll actually look at.
If you even look at how aggressive the Thunder defense is when Shai isn't on the floor, that's because they don't want to get too many half-court opportunities when Shai isn't on the floor. They play like extremely aggressive when Shai's not on the floor, because they want to build the easiest offense they can, because it's always hit or miss with J-Dub when SGA is not on the floor. There are some times where he looks really good with Shai's not on the floor. He's playmaking, he's distributing in transition, he's getting to the spots, he's knocking down shots. And then there's just times where one-on-one he can't create an advantage for the offense. So they try to play as aggressive as possible with Shai off the floor, leading them into a lot of easy transition looks.
Yeah, that's definitely I think that's a really good point, that they do try and ramp up the aggression without Shai, because the half-court offense has deficiencies. Shai on the court this season, excluding the minutes where it's a blowout either way, because we don't really care about when the game's kind of out of hands. 615 minutes, which actually is quite a large sample size. J-Dub off the court, Chet off the court, Isaiah Hartenstein off the court. I think most people would agree those are their three most important offensive pieces outside of Shai. They had a 131 offensive rating. That's elite. They had a 131 net offensive rating, and that was in a heavy dose of minutes. When you look at lineups without Shai, J-Dub and Isaiah Hartenstein without Shai and Chet, obviously Chet missed a large portion of the season. 117 offensive rating. J-Dub without Shai, Chet, or Isaiah Hartenstein, 103 offensive rating. Like, you start seeing that a lot of the offensive success is predicated on Shai's presence on the court. And that's not a knock on the guys around him. I just think it's a testament to the value that Shai provides, being the best perimeter driver in the NBA, having an elite handle, being the best mid-range scorer this side of Kevin Durant in the NBA. And then just the pressure he puts on defenses. J-Dub can score, and he's quite an efficient scorer. I don't know what his relative true shooting was this year. But he doesn't put the same pressure on the defense that Shai does. He doesn't do that. Chet can't really create for himself at this moment in time. So their offense is really dependent on Shai, and I knew that going into the series. I still thought the defensive floor, along with Shai, what I do think he brings offensively. And I think in game 1 and 2, particularly game 2, you saw when Shai has the ball in his hands, good things happen for this OKC offense. Even tonight, turnovers included. When Shai had the ball in his hands, good things happen for the OKC offense. I think OKC did a really good job cutting around Shai. I think they got a lot of points off cuts, whether that be from the slot or from the corners. But OKC just struggled when Shai didn't have the ball, and that's why I made a point of emphasis for Indiana to take the ball out of his hands. And then also Shai, in his own right, had to be better with turning the ball over. But I do think that is a valid concern that a lot of people have had about OKC all year long in terms of their offense outside of Shai. But I don't think people have really grasped how, I'm not going to say it's dire without Shai, but their offense is not a top 3 offense in the NBA if Shai's not there. Their offense is the main reason their offense is elite is because of Shai. And I think that floor raising does deserve more credit than it gets. But is there anything else you want to add about Shai, OKC, Indiana, whatever the case?
No, I think we're all good.
Once again, shout out to Arch. $100 super chat. Shout out to Arch. YouTube took $40 of that, by the way. But, game 4 is Friday.
Friday, yes.
Game 4 is Friday. I don't know if Players' Choice is going to be on the main stage on playback. If they are, you'll see me there. And then I'll be right over here to do the game 4 recap. John D, where can everyone find you?
You guys can find me over at the Buzzer Sports. College content, NBA draft content is what I've been focusing on over the past few weeks, because we all know that is in about 2 weeks, I believe. The draft is in about 2 weeks. You guys know I'm excited. So one thing I've been thinking about lately is how creative the Mavericks can get with Cooper Flag in that defense. So I'm probably going to have a video about that in a few days. Also, you guys know from my Twitter, I've been working on my top 50 players in the league, which is not as easy as I thought it was going to be, because I remade it 4 times and I've only gotten through 30 players. Anyway, other than that, reaction videos, daily content, the Kyrie Irving versus De'Aaron Fox video that we talked about on PC, I made a reaction video out of that because somebody asked me for it on Twitter. So I'm going to put that out sometime this week. Also, somebody in the chat said it's easy if you do it on 2K. I have been doing 2K content, just don't know if I want to post it. I may post it, who knows? But yeah, at the Buzzer Sports, man, we do a lot of things around basketball.
Someone said we didn't answer the past super chat. Well, the previous super chat. Which one is he talking about? Because I want to make sure every super chat gets answered.
Yeah.
If you can just tell me which one we didn't answer, and then we can answer it now.
Arch, we got Arch, and then OG team. Yeah, we got that one. I'm still just scrolling. Chad legitimately looks off. Okay, we answered that.
We spoke about OG team super chat, the heliocentric stuff, and then we spoke about what Shai does for this offense, and then I said that I think they can win next year. We
talked about everyone.
Yeah, we definitely did talk about that. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. We will be back Friday. Post game reaction to game 4. We will see if Indiana take a 3-1 lead or if OKC tie the series up 2-2. Real quick before we get out of here, who would be your finals MVP if the series ended today?
Oh, for the Pacers.
Yeah, unless you want to give it to a losing team. It's up to you.
Damn, that's not as easy. I still think they're going to give it to Hallie because the game winner in game 1 and his game 3 performance. I think they're going to give it to Hallie. If the Pacers were to win, I think Hallie would have it.
Man, TJ McConnell. I think it probably would be Halliburton if the series ended today. I actually think that him stat padding to 17 kind of helps him in that case.
Yeah, it definitely does.
But I really don't know. I think that would be like a really close conversation. I wouldn't be surprised if there was talks about Shai still getting it. But I do think Hallie, I do think probably Hallie would be the finals MVP if the series ended today, obviously. But Indiana still need 2 more wins. But yeah, that just about does it. We will see you on Friday for the game 4 reaction. Thank you guys for watching. Merry Christmas and goodbye, Dab. There we go.